Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Christian coming to you with a very short video to answer a question that was asked after we posted yesterday our video, Love is Patient, on Bible Bro Relationship Edition. And so I would like to thank Natural Beauty for this question. The question that Natural Beauty asked is, have you always been that way in previous relationships? How'd you get to the point where you've decided not to yell? And so, since there are two questions, there are two answers. The first answer is no, I haven't always been this way, where I've decided not to yell at somebody or my spouse in a relationship. Some people know, some people don't know. Maybe I've alluded to it in one of our previous videos, but I was married before, and in that marriage, I recognize the fact that I'm the same person that I've always been, but in that particular marriage, there were some very hurtful things that happened to me in the relationship, and I lashed out very verbally and definitively against those hurtful things, and I wasn't of the frame of mind to say, "Yo, I'm not going to yell at you. I was younger and I was immature, to be honest with you, in relationship. I think that the decision not to yell at your spouse or your significant other, it's maturity, number one, but it shows an understanding of self-control. Have you ever seen somebody walking a dog? Yes, of course you have. Have you ever seen someone being walked by their dog? Yes, of course you have. Get this picture in your head. Somebody is walking their dog down the street, and the dog sees something like a squirrel or a rabbit or another dog or whatever, and the dog takes off running, and the person is like literally trying to keep up with the dog, and they're being dragged down the street behind this dog that's running after whatever it is that's got their attention at the moment. Then picture somebody who has their dog on a leash and they're walking, and the dog sees something and the dog wants to run that direction, but the person has control of the leash and has control of the dog, and they don't allow the dog to run, and the dog wants to run. It gets pulled back, and then it just sits down and might whimper or whatever, and is looking up at its owner like or whatever. That's a picture to me of how I relate to Adrian in our relationship as it relates to anger or yelling. I am me. The dog represents the lashing out, but the leash represents self-control. If you're not in control, you will be controlled. Your emotions will control you. That is not to say that things won't bother you in relationships, but for me, I made a decision that I'm not going to allow any external obstacle in my relationship to dictate, to control me. I'm not going to be drugged around by my appetites. I'm not going to be drugged around by my desires. I'm not going to be drugged around by anger. I'm not going to be drugged around by insecurities or jealousy or whatever. Self-control is a wonderful gift that if we use it, we would save ourselves a lot of stress, a lot of anguish, a lot of time, a lot of blood pressure medicine for some people. In my previous relationship, in my previous marriage, there were some things that happened as close to the end of that marriage that were very hurtful to me. And in my immaturity, I didn't know how to manage my anger, and so I did yell. I yelled a lot because I was hurt. These things that it's like, why don't you get it? Why don't you understand how much this is hurting me? How much this is hurting us? Is this what you want? Such and such and such, to be damaged like this or to be divorced, da 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 da. And I was actually fighting her, in an attempt to love her. And that didn't work, because honestly, love has to come from the inside out. It can't be forced from the outside in. So once I realized that there was absolutely nothing that I could do or say to dictate or to control the level of the measure of love and honor and respect that came from her to me, that actually, even though it hurt, it actually was something that was extremely liberating to me, and that helped me to understand that, dude, if there's nothing that you can do to change this person's attitude or change this person's actions or change this person's disposition or heart towards you, then why would you do more damage trying to change something that you can't change? That doesn't make any sense. If there's nothing that I can do to make myself shorter, then why would I chop off, you know, my toes or my foot or whatever? I'm just making matters worse. That was a horrible example. But why would you bring yourself pain on something that you can't control? So I'll tell you a funny story. There was an opportunity that I had to be angry with Adrian while we were dating. And this is after I told her that I would never argue or I would never yell at her or raise my voice at her in a relationship. And because I wasn't raising my voice, she thought that I didn't care. And that's maybe how some of you feel, that you know, if you really cared, then you'd be more passionate and you'd be, you know, raising your voice and you'd be communicating with me. And I was like, no. In fact, what I said to her, she was like, she came to visit in Orlando and she got upset and I was upset or whatever. Of course, if somebody were to drive by and look at us in the car, they would basically say that, oh, she is giving him the business. Cause she was, you know, arms foiling. She was upset. She was upset. And I was upset too, but I didn't handle my anger or my frustration that way because again, at what I'd been through. That's no slight against her. Thank God. She didn't have to experience what I experienced to learn that those responses won't help. So thank God for that. But so when she was like, and I think I said this in another one of my videos, she was like, take me to the airport. You can take me to the airport right now. And my response was, do you want us to stop and get something to eat on the way? Can I get you something to eat on the way to the airport? And she's like, see, that's my problem. You know, you're not fighting for us. No, I'm not going to fight you. I'd come to the point where I made a decision that I am not going to fight her to love her. This is to whoever is listening. If you really love the person that you're with, why do you feel like you have to fight them in order to love them? You don't have to raise your voice. The dog doesn't have to run you down the street. You can, if the dog is heavier or than you expect, then you might need to get into a gym and work out those muscles so that when it does want to run, that you're stronger than it. You have to be stronger than your anger. You have to be stronger than your frustration. You have to be stronger than what hurt you. You have to be stronger than your emotions. You have to be stronger than all of that to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to cause these emotions, my anger, my frustration in this moment to submit to me, to my will. Yes, I'm upset. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, that hurt. Yes, I'm frustrated, but no, I do not have to dishonor and disrespect my spouse or my boyfriend and girlfriend to communicate to them that I am hurt. It might be hurtful for me to at first swallow my pride and just take it. But I would rather do that and be a good representation of the way that God loves us than to get in my emotions and get into my flesh and to get angry and start yelling and saying things that could damage the person that I say that I love. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Damaging the person that you say that you love in an attempt to be understood is a lack of understanding of self-control. So I had to learn that. And thank God for Adrian's sake, I learned that before we got connected. And so now I teach my son the same thing. Dude, you don't have to respond in a way that puts you out of character. You don't have to do that. You're in control of your emotions. So if something hurts, say that it hurts. If something has bothered you, say that it bothered you. But you don't have to yell and scream and get angry and throw stuff and break things. And not that he does that, but you don't have to respond that way. You are in control. The moment that you allow yourself to recognize that, then you'll stop acting out of character. You'll stop doing things and you'll save a lot of dishes in your house because you recognize the fact, hey, I don't have to respond this way. I'm in control. I can choose. And I choose not to yell. I choose not to scream. I choose not to get physical. I choose not to walk out. I choose not to slam doors. I choose to honor you even when it's tough. That's for better or for worse. We made this promise to our spouse. So I'm just doing everything that I can to make good on that promise because God is watching me and he's going to hold me accountable for how I husband Adrian. And so that hopefully answers your question. So no, I've not always been like this in relationships. In fact, you can have a conversation with my ex-wife and she can tell you way more things than I did if that's what you want to do. But that's not who I am anymore, thank God. And I learned a lot of that through what I had to endure in my previous relationship. So I'm a better man for Adrian now than I've ever been for anybody else because of the hardship that I had to do and to learn. And it wasn't easy, but I'm glad that I learned it so that I can be a better husband for my wife. So I hope that helped answer your question, Natural Beauty. Thank you so much for your question. If anybody else has any questions, drop them in the comments. But I encourage you, go back and look at that video. Bible Bro Relationship Edition, Love Talk, Part 1, and that is Love is Patient. Next Friday coming up, we got the second video. So like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you guys can know the moment that we drop the next video, which is going to be next Friday, and that's Love is Kind, and you don't want to miss that. Love you guys. I appreciate you.